Alex?
Let me tell you about Grindaman.
I've swapped complete failure as a Kickstarter.
Star Fox Command is the first game that you get to be Anthony Birch.
The first of many fuck yous. Like a fucking Looney Tunes?
Suck. The only stipulation was behave yourself and keep your dick in your pants, and you have not followed through on that.
So while we were recording this, I realized that I forgot something very important, which is the best way that you can get experience in the game that you're playing is to play offline against other players locally. To play against preferably players who are much better than you. And the best way that you can do this is to find the local fighting game community scene in your area. And there's a couple of ways that you can find that. One of the best and fastest ways is to go onto shoryuken.com, so shoryuken.com, and there's the regional matchmaking forum there where you can find local groups near you that meet up to play fighting games. You can also find them fairly easily on Facebook these days. Most regional groups will have a Facebook page that you can find. And pretty much in my experience, all of these groups are filled with really welcoming and great people who will be willing to teach you as long as you're willing to learn. So getting familiar with going to weekly events in your area and playing against other players live is going to be the best way that you can learn really any new game, not just Dragon Ball FighterZ. So, hey Tad.
Yes, Dan?
Let me tell you about how to learn fighting games.
I am absolutely... Well, I was going to say riveted, but that's not... that'd be the other... I was trying to think of a word for excited. What's a word for excited? What's a word that's Guilty Gear style adjacent to excited?
So you mean a word that almost but not quite sounds like English?
Yeah, if I said like, oh man, I'm really entertainable. Where it's like, that's kind of
like
excited.
that, or I'm burning.
Burning, that's it. I am burning in excitability to learn more about fighting games.
There you go. Now you're getting it. So, the thing about fighting games, since Dragon Ball FighterZ just came out, a lot of people are trying to learn fighting games for the first time. And unfortunately, the game has basically no tutorial. I'm very surprised considering it's made by the same people who made, Guilty Gear Xrd, and that game has a fantastic tutorial. Just port the damn tutorial over, but whatever, you can't have everything. So,
let's start this off with, what exactly makes something a fighting game? Is it just, you got one dude on the left, one dude on the right, and then they hit each other until the health bar hits 0? Or is it more than that?
Well, the thing is that there's a lot of things that are pretty much the same across all fighting games, and basic skill sets that you need to learn, which pretty much are referred to as fundamentals, that are common across all fighting games. It's why once you learn one fighting game, you can learn another one very easily. Things like spacing, things like, basic combos,
frame
concepts
advantage.
Concepts like frame advantage and things like that, which we'll get into. But the first thing that you need to know as a person who wants to get into Dragon Ball FighterZ and wants to actually play it, you've seen a bunch of other fighting games and you're like, I don't know about these, but this one has Dragon Ball characters, so I really want to play this. Fighting games are hard. Fighting games are absurdly hard, and this game specifically, I think, is going to be pretty damn difficult, even among fighting games, for new players.
So for a long time, if you pick up Joe Schmo McVideo game, if you go to someone's inventory on Steam, just a random guy, well, maybe, I don't know, Steam might kind of skew it because everyone gets so many cheap games. But if you pick up Joe Schmo McVideo game, random guy, and you ask him, hey, what's your favorite video game genres? The fighting games will be in the top 10, but they won't usually be that high up on people's fighting games are popular, really popular in their niches. Is it niches or niches?
niche.
Is it
I
Nietzsche?
believe. But
Like that guy?
well, that's the thing, is that fighting games have a culture and a style of player all to themselves. And it really comes out of the origins of fighting games in the arcades. So, if you go back to, the arcades in the 90s with, early Street Fighter 2 and all of that nonsense, everything is hyper competitive. Winner stays on. If you win your match, you get to get rematched on by the next guy, and whoever lost goes to the back of the line to play again. Right? You get to keep playing when you've proven you can win. And until then, your quarter's gone. And there's no culture of, oh, that's unfair, oh, you're spamming, oh, go easy on the new guy. None of that. It is, you get to play when you've proven you can learn.
It is animalistic survival of the fittest.
Yeah, it's just hyper competitive because everybody is out there trying to get as good as possible, and you don't do that unless everybody's going 100%. And so, when you're trying to learn a fighting game, you have to know that you're going to lose a lot. You're going to get utterly destroyed at the start.
Oh,
but
yeah.
It's already happening, where there's a pretty good post online on the Dragonball FighterZ subreddit or whatever, of a kid who, was posting a video of like, I won my first match of Dragonball FighterZ. I lost 203 in a row before it. And you have to be ready to be that guy.
I played the game for 14 hours before I won a single online match.
Yeah.
And only 10 of that was spent in the super absurdly long story mode.
The story mode is way too long. But
it's a very odd choice for that story mode.
And that's how long it's going to take to win online matches in a system where there's matchmaking on rank, right? That's when you're being matched up against other people who are also new against the game. When you were playing back in the arcades, or when you would play in local events and things, you're just playing against the best players. They don't segregate it based on skill, and that's kind of the beauty of it, is that, and even in tournaments is the same way, anybody can sign up and play the best player in the world.
You could go up to Long Island Joe. Alex, when he went to EVO, one of his friends entered Street Fighter. It was either Street Fighter or MAHVEL, and got his ass whooped by Long Island Joe. And it was awesome.
Like
he went like 0-2 immediately.
Yeah, that's one of the things that's amazing about fighting games and fighting game tournaments is, you look at other big esports events like Counter-Strike Go or Hearthstone, and they're all invitationals, or they all have pre-qualifiers to get into the real tournaments. And so, because that makes a good spectacle for the viewers and everything. But for fighting games, the biggest, most prestigious tournament in the world, Evolution, is an open entry double elimination tournament right to the end.
I remember it was last year or the year before it. There was this little kid. He was like 13. He was playing Cowboy Ken, and he went up against who was it?
801 Strider.
Yeah, he went up against. Didn't he get
Fighter.
Second or first?
801 Strider, I believe that year he got top 8. He was one of the favorites to win the whole tournament. It was in Ultra Street Fighter 4 Arcade Edition, I believe, and that was Arcade Edition 2012 or whatever the latest version of Street Fighter 4 was. But yeah, that was like a year or two before Street Fighter 5 came out. But yeah,
but this kid went up there. He got absolutely dumpstered. I think he
double
didn't
perfected.
Yeah, he got double perfected. He was destroyed. And then I saw someone he posted on
triple
Facebook.
Perfected, I think.
Yeah, I don't think he laid a single finger on him.
He got a hit on him in the first round.
And then I saw the kid, someone posted it was on RCappa or some other place. I don't remember where I saw it. It might have been you that linked me at, or Matt. Mm-hmm. And it was like the kid posted on Facebook like, nah, I ain't gonna let that shit put me down. I'm gonna come back to EVO next year and I'm gonna win. Or some absurd shit like that. It's
they had the rematch. They had the rematch in Street Fighter 5 and 801 Strider beat his ass again. Right? that's what's going to happen. Like, for example, the first fighting game that I really like went all in on, because I'd played fighting games casually for a while, but the path of progression of getting good at fighting games goes, you start out and you're the best player among your group of friends. That's always the guy who's like, oh man, I always win when we play with my friends. I'm good at fighting games. I really like fighting games. I'm going to keep playing fighting games. And then you go to your local, your local weekly tournament or local meetup where people play fighting games, and you realize you suck ass.
Yeah, you get terrible. Absolutely destroyed because you don't actually know what you're doing.
You don't know what you're doing. You're terrible. And you don't win for months. You don't win for months, maybe years. Then you climb your way up, and eventually you're the best player in your local scene. You're winning all of the local events. You're anytime people show up, they're like, oh, you're the guy to beat. You're the guy that everybody's got the target on their back. You're like, man, I'm good at fighting games. I'm going to go to a big tournament. And then you 0-2 out of Evo.
But hey, you went to Evo.
Yeah. And that's the progression, is that you hit a plateau and then you realize you suck. And you have to be okay with that. Like,
and so I had that happen in a big way. And this cycles more into kind of why, because now I want to kind of get into more why fighting games aren't as popular. And so MAHVEL 3 just came out. My older brother Zach got it. And we're like, oh shit, yeah, MAHVEL 3, let's do this shit. We'll wacky. I'm gonna play fucking Beautiful Joe, Amaterasu. I probably pronounced that wrong.
Amaterasu,
like,
yeah.
Zero or something.
Zero's top tier.
See, I had 1/3 of my team was top tier.
That's actually not a bad team, maybe.
But I go online and I get absolutely destroyed. I'm like, okay, yeah, no, it makes sense. I thought that would happen. Then that happens about 14 more times, and it wasn't losing, because losing can be fun. When you lose, even I played fucking 14 hours Dragonball FighterZ before I won a match, but I still had fun because every time I lost, I thought, that's right, I should not have been dragon rushing. That was a bad idea. I just did that right into a Kamehameha 4 times in a row. Shouldn't do that anymore.
Yeah.
But, and this is where I think is the absolute biggest thing where people will drop a fighting game. And that is, I would get bodied. And from what I understood about the game, I didn't know what I was doing wrong. I'd go online, I would hold block, and then suddenly I'm getting hit. And then put into a combo that lasts 45 seconds. I die. They combo my next dude, even though I was holding block, and things are happening that I don't know. I don't know the mechanics in play. I get destroyed. It feels quote unquote unfair and cheap. I'm no longer as interested in this as I was before.
Yeah, and there's the two main reactions to that are, people are either going to go, this isn't fun, I'm going to drop this, or you've got the small subset of people who go, no, that's bullshit. I'm going to go online, I'm going to research what was going on, I'm going to watch all these guides, I'm going to hunt for information to try and figure out what the hell just happened to me, and I'm going to come back and I'm going to beat those guys. Mm-hmm. Like, for me, to go back, because I said, I was going to start talking about what the first fighting game I played for real was, and we kind of
before I just kind of cut you off.
Yeah, it was, the first one that I started playing for real was, Street Fighter 4, of course. I'd played fighting games before that, I'd played like Melty Blood and King of Fighters a little bit, but always. But
it wasn't until Street Fighter 4 when you could feel it coming over you, feel it all around you.
Yeah.
And that's the song. That's the Street Fighter 4 meme song for people who don't know. It's the meme song.
But then when I go and I find out, oh hey, there's a local meetup in my town where people go to play fighting games every week. I'll go and play fighting games, and I get completely dumpstered. And it was at that point I was like, oh man, I don't know about this. And then somebody introduced me to King of Fighters, like for real, and it was King of Fighters 13. And that game is a nightmare to learn. That game is hard as shit. And so it took me like a solid year before I could take games off of the good players there. like a solid year of going every week and losing.
That's dedication.
It was fun. Like when you know what you're doing, those short little moments where you start to figure things out, you start to formulate a plan, execute it, and have it work and be legitimate. There's nothing that beats that in video games for me. Like, you know, the feeling of winning your first tournament is just so much better than, you know, winning a couple of matches of Hearthstone or League of Legends or something, because there is nothing anybody can say to devalue or discredit it. It's not like, oh, well, he just got lucky and just drew the right cards, or, oh, his teammates carried him. It's, he won. It's 1v1 and there's no random elements.
Yep, 1v1, no one... Because the only other game genre that I can think of that has as much complexity, outside of, like, grand strategy games, but that's a whole different beast, is like MOBAs, like League of Legends and Dota, where if you're losing in one of those games, you may think you're hot shit, you may think you're the coolest Zed on the planet, but when you die, you can say, oh, well, Amumu should have gone in with me, that guy fucked it up.
Yeah.
Or, that character's
shift the
overpowered.
blame.
Yeah, that person has, you know, there's some advantage. You know, this item combination is totally busted. Nothing I can do about that.
And I mean, people do make that same excuse in fighting games, where it's like, this is a bad matchup.
Yeah, fucking kid boo bullshit.
But still, like, or the closest thing that I could think maybe would be like the like RTSs, you know, like StarCraft or something, where they're essentially high speed chess going back and forth with your opponent.
Because after a certain point, it stops being, I'm going to shoot a Kamehameha, and then this dude's going to jump up. It starts becoming, you start breaking things down into mechanics.
Yeah,
right?
You start breaking things down into motions, into movements. You figure out the opponent's plan, and then you execute a plan to beat that plan. And we'll get into a little bit of that in terms of Dragon Ball FighterZ specific stuff, but this does segue into the first real big tip for learning fighting games, which is do not make excuses. If you lose, you lost. Don't make an excuse. It's going to be tempting to go, oh, well, there was lag, or, oh, I blocked, but I didn't, or, oh, that character is overpowered, or, you know, any number of things. But really what you need to do is every time you get hit, every time you lose, you need to go and you need to think, what did I do wrong? Why did I get hit? How did I get fucked up? Mm-hmm. Which is going to be really hard in Dragon Ball FighterZ, because this game is crazy. This game is wild. It's
this was
really
happening
fast.
Just earlier. We were talking about, I was in a corner, you know, I've played the game for a short amount of time. I've spent a few hours in training mode, nothing too deep. But I thought I understood blocking mechanics, and I don't.
Yeah. You were just saying, like, I was holding down back, and my friend was playing Piccolo, and I got hit, and I don't, like, something must have been an overhead. I'm like, nah, you just stopped blocking. Because everything is just going so fast.
Things are moving way too... There's only two speeds in Dragon Ball FighterZ. I'm going to call it FighterZ.
Yeah.
Fast and way too fast.
This is true.
Like you were saying, I noticed this in what you could technically kind of say is a quote. Like, I'm going to put 16 quotes around it. Fighting game.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed this. I noticed these skill plateaus in Smash Bros.
Yeah.
So, level 1 of this. Oh, I can use the up B to get back to the stage after a second jump. You're understanding base mechanics. Oh, I should stop randomly throwing out fully charged smash attacks because I get hit. Understanding downsides to certain actions. Oh, I can use tilt attacks to, you know, hit people from afar without leaving me super open with, what's the frame? It's not lag, but when you do a move and then you can't act for a while after it.
Frame disadvantage or recovery frames?
Recovery, that's it. You understand, recovery frames. Finer control of mechanics, and you start to understand spacing. And then, through experience and actual practice, I understand the pros and cons of different moves and adjust my playstyle to be as consistent as possible with how things work. You understand your options available and how to execute them properly. Now it becomes, how do I put my plan of action against theirs?
And the answer in Smash 4 is full screen is, barely touching them with your neutral air, and then fast fall canceling it, because holy shit, if you do any attack, anything close to deep in on the opponent, they're just gonna shield and throw punish your ass for it. Like,
it's almost like Smash Bros. Is not a fighting game, but people won't accept that.
Pretty whack.
It is the most accessible fighting game, I guess.
Smash has completely different fundamentals, and the fundamental control scheme is completely different, and the fundamental gameplay is completely different.
But the ideas behind learning it, similar stuff to actual fighting games.
Yeah, the mentality is similar. But, so, the next thing that you're going to need to do to learn how to play fighting games at a decent level is absolutely, shamelessly steal stuff from better players than yourself. I know that you're going to want to be... You're going to want to play your YamCHA Krillin Android 18 team, but you should probably look at the people who are playing really well and see what sort of team synergies they're using. I know that you're really excited about just, doing Wolf Fang Fist all the time, but you should probably go look at people who are good with YamCHA and see how they play him.
Because, and this is something that I have absolutely no understanding of, is how team compositions work in a 3v3 style game.
Okay, we can transition to that really quick. So, team compositions in a 3v3 game are hard. Primarily what it is, for example, let's take Sonic Fox's team. Sonic Fox is arguably one of the best, anime / 3v3 tag fighter players in the world. Dude's a complete monster. Just watch his stream or whatever if you want to see somebody completely way too good at this game already. And his team currently is Android 18, Beerus, and Kid Buu. And if you break that down, what it is you have Android 18 on point. It's referred to as point. So Android 18 does a ton of damage with very little resources. She doesn't need to spend meter that much. And she has insane mix-up tools with the 17 assist calls. Android 18, with a couple of assists, like the Kid Buu assist, which is going to lock people down, if you get put into the corner by Sonic Fox's team, you're not getting out. You are going to be mixed up.
Is that the ring that'll hit you and hold you in place?
No, Kid Buu's assist is the little pink ball that draws a little pentagram. I don't know if it's actually a pentagram, but it looks like it. It hits you like 6 times and it holds you in place for a full second and a half.
Oh, kind of like how Vegeta's comes in, he just throws a million blasts, it'll hold you in place for a while.
It's like that. And, a lot of other good players are playing the 18 shell with 18 Beerus and Vegeta. For the same reason. It's like just pure lockdown aggro pressure.
You get someone put into a corner, and then they just... You have so many options to attack them. You make them have to make those decisions rapid fire. As soon as they fuck up once on how they're going to block or defend themselves, you go in for a huge chunk of damage.
Yeah, they're just dead. Like, if you do a combo that takes them to the corner, and then you get any corner hit, you have enough meter to kill them. So, boom. You're just saying you need to block, and if you fuck up blocking once, you die. So, basically what it is your point character is going to be a character that you want to have that is good in neutral. You either want... There's 2 main philosophies in 3v3 games. So you either want a character who is very good in the neutral game, where they're incredibly mobile, evasive, and capable of ducking and weaving and really controlling space really well. Or they do a ton of damage, and preferably both. And you want them to be characters that are good at building meter and who don't need to use meter for their tools, right? Like, you don't want a character who is only good if they have meter on your point, because you're not going to have meter with them. Then your second character is like more of the flexible slot. You want a good, strong assist that supports your other two characters, and you want them to be, good with meter, kind of good at building it, but not ultra reliant on it, right? A good example would be like, say, Doctor Doom in Marvel vs. Capcom 3. You pretty much always saw him in middle. Or in this game, any of the Gokus or Vegetas. Very good middle characters. Then you have your anchors. And anchors really aren't that much of a thing in this game. Like, you've got Sparking Burst and everything, but you don't really have anything that brings back the feeling of, like, X Factor level 3 Virgil, where... So, to go back to Marvel for a second, your anchor is the character that you place all your bets on. You go, when everything has gone to shit, and this is my last character left, this is the guy who can carry the team on his back. This is the guy who can beat an entire team by himself. Assuming he has resources.
Assuming he has, 7 bars of super X Factors up, and they only have, hopefully only one dude, but up to, 2.5 or something.
Well, yeah, like back in Marvel 3, X Factor level 3 Virgil, that guy could just wipe an entire team on his own. It was, if they had X Factor level 3 Virgil and you had 3 characters, it's a pretty even fight.
You better hope your X Factor Virgil is able to fight his.
Yup. Fuck Virgil, man. That character is so dumb. But in this game, the closest thing that I can see to that is Frieza. Frieza is great with meter, not necessarily as great without it, but if you can get into Gold Frieza, Sparking Burst, you turn into a complete nightmare to deal with. Dude could do like 80% solo or some shit.
I haven't seen anyone using Frieza yet, but then again,
Frieza's real good.
I'm sub 20-hour scum, so...
Yeah, like, not to be rude, but yeah, you're not actually playing against people who are playing the real game.
Yeah, I fought a dude who had Goku, Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan Goku, and Goku Black, just for that stupid meme of having 3 Gokus.
Team Goku is actually not a bad team.
I'm not playing the game yet. Give it 200 hours. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So, the thing is that the thing that I think is kind of unfortunate about this game is when it comes to learning fighting games, you really need to have good tools at your disposal. New players can only learn as well as they have access to learning resources. And the tutorial in this game is bad, as is the training mode. The tutorial doesn't teach you the things that you need to know. And the training mode doesn't let you learn the things that you need to learn. So, like, for example, in the training mode, there's a lot of weird stuff that just doesn't work. Like, if you have the opponent set to crouch, they won't ground tech. They'll just stay on the ground, no matter what you have it set to.
So if you're trying to test out something that you have to see, like, okay, does this work if they ground tech? Am I able to drop and hit them with a spirit ball or whatever?
Yeah.
You can't test
You're
that.
testing a setup, and then you have to... Yeah, you have to go, wait, can you not... For a second there, I was like, wait, can you not ground tech if you got hit from crouching? And it turns out, no, the training mode is just ass. And one of the things that I was going to recommend to people in this episode was, hey, you got hit by something? Well, record the opposing AI doing the thing, and record, another variation of the thing. Like, if you're playing against, like Goku, and he's doing something like, instant air dash, overhead, low, crouch medium, stand heavy, and fuck it, I'll just use, anime fighter notation, which is numpad notation. Just Google it, I guess.
Imagine a number pad, how that looks with all the numbers laid out.
And then just imagine that it works really well as an analog for an analog stick. Or a D-pad, which you should be using if you're using a controller.
So
use the
Goku's
fucking
hitting you
D-pad.
with a thing, and you're like, well,
Yeah,
shit,
it's
how did that hit me?
2M, 5M, 5H, and then he, super dashes at you. Which you see a lot. Or he does 2M, 5M, 2H, and then air dashes at you. I think Goku's 2H pops him off of the ground. I can't remember.
I think everyone's
anyway.
2H will knock you up into the air. You press it again, you charge after him.
Yeah, I was saying that there's a couple of characters whose 2H puts them airborne.
Like YamCHAs.
Yeah, like YamCHAs or Android 18s. And they can actually, cancel out of that into, an air dash and shit sometimes. Like, with Android 18, you can cancel it into the airborne 17 assist call and then air dash at them, and it's not even close to fair. It is so dishonest. I love the character. But anyway, you record one of those basic mix-ups, right? Because your opponent is doing something that is mixing you up and you don't know how to deal with it. And you record both options and you play it back, and the training mode has an option where you can set it to random playback, and then you go until you can block the thing. You can't do that in this training mode. There's one recording slot.
Oh, I was about to say, that sounds really useful, because then, just like a normal opponent, they're not always going to keep repeating it. You want to try and get, be ready for it to come in.
Yeah,
but no, that just doesn't happen.
You can't do that. It's pretty basic functionality, and it's not in the thing.
Yeah, because so from an outsider perspective, what I thought most training for a fighting game was like going on YouTube, watching next gen gamer 1993 YamCHA combo guide. And just okay, there's a big YamCHA combo. Guess I presto. I guess I just copy that.
Well, yeah, you do copy combos and stuff, but
it's a thing, but it's more. It's less about learning how to do these combos and more about learning base mechanics and fundamentals.
Yeah, and it's pretty hard to learn that in this game. There's so much going on. Things are happening so quickly that it's really hard for me to actually recommend where to start. Because it's okay, so you need to learn how to block corner cross-ups. You need to learn the risk rewards of super dashes. You need to learn how Dragon Rush works. You need to learn blah, 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 blah. There's so many things, and it's really hard to say, okay, here's point one. Here's where to start. Like in Street Fighter, I'd say pick Ryu, do crouching medium kick into fireball, and keep people away. Do crouching medium kick. When people jump at you, you do crouching heavy punch, and you do that until you beat people. Learn the game. In this, I don't know. But the other thing is something really important is the concept of frame advantage and frame data. And it's starting to come out in bits and pieces, but for example, did you know that Krillin's little vanish, right? His his little clone strike thing. Yeah. 1, it's an overhead, and 2, it's plus on block.
Really?
Krillin is plus on block after that overhead if you block it.
And so what that means is if someone blocks it, your Krillin has the frame advantage to be able to throw out a move that many frames before the opponent would be able to act. Right?
Correct. So, a quick breakdown of it is all moves in fighting games are separated into 3 stages. You've got startup frames, which is the character doing their wind-up animation. This is before the move is active and will hit you. Then you've got active frames, where the move is actively out and can hit the opponent. Then you have recovery frames, which are the wind-down moments where the character is going back to a neutral stance.
And you can see in when YamCHA, it's really, really apparent in the heavy attacks. YamCHA, he crouches down, then jumps up, kicks twice, and then he drops to the ground. Yeah. You see right there, it's actively both times. He's kick. Really, it's active for a long time. Then he's not able to move until he hits the ground again, goes back to that idle state.
Right. And when you block an opponent's move, the opponent is going to be able to start pressing buttons again at a different time than you. and that is frame advantage or frame disadvantage. So a quick way that you can test it in training mode is you set the dummy to record a move, and this is another piece of basic functionality that's not in the fucking training mode, is setting the dummy to block something and then jump. They don't have that option. So what you have to do is, what you have to do jumping, manually,
it goes as soon as he's able to move, you can visually see that this character is now moving. Okay.
So what you do is you have the exact same character, you pick the same character as the character you want to learn about, and then you record all of their buttons, record all of their special moves, one by one, of course. So you do something like, okay, how's their standing medium punch on block? You press record, you press standing medium punch, and then you hold up. And then you press play, you block the standing medium punch, and you jump at the same time. You just hold up. And then you'll see one character gets to move first.
So if you're playing, if 16, if you do your standing medium, and then you block it, you're able to jump. A little bit later, he's able to jump. That means that on block, the
Android
opponent's
16's standing medium punch is minus on block. Okay. How much, you're not quite sure, but it does mean that if somebody just presses standing medium punch and then doesn't do anything, you get to act first. You have advantage. It's your turn.
And that's where something like, say, and this is something I noticed with Vegeta that I'm able to do when I'm in the corner. He could do his crouching medium kick and immediately do his triangle kick, where you kick through someone to get the fuck out of that corner. So say
that thing is unsafe as hell.
Is it?
Yeah, it's punishable. You shouldn't do that.
Well, I'm at the bottom of the barrel. I'm scraping the briny depths here. Like, I'm good.
Yeah.
I could do that as much. I could fucking full screen Wolf Fang Fist and press circle to try and knock someone up into the air, and it works.
Hey, that's somewhat more legitimate.
But something like that. So say that Vegeta's kick. So he does a standing medium. I know that's got however long. I got a good feel for how long it is before he's able to act after that. So if I know that Vegeta's kick is faster, I can kick and then use that to go into that kick now, assuming in a world in which that was safe to do.
You get to get pressure. And instead of doing that, you might want to do something like, crouch medium, stand heavy.
Add the damage on there.
Call and assist. Then you call and assist to cover your ass, and then you dash at them or something like that. And now
it's
you're
all
putting
about
pressure
steps.
on them.
Because jumping from, my kick can come out a little bit faster to, you do the kick, followed by 4 other inputs, followed by assists, and you knock him in the air. Slow down there, partner. I just figured out I can hold down and press kick.
So, the main tool that you're going to have, though, for defense, that you probably should be using a bit more is Reflect, but we'll get into that in a bit. So, frame advantage and disadvantage. So the thing that you really want to know is you really want to know in situations if you're at advantage or disadvantage, because that is going to completely color what your options are. And this is a thing that happens to people a lot when they, especially in other 1v1 2D games, like in Street Fighter V or something like that, is that new players will just keep pressing buttons and they won't understand why they aren't coming out. They're like, wait, but I pressed crouching light punch and I got hit by a crouching medium kick and we both pressed them at the same time. How did that happen? Right? I know that crouching light punch is faster, and the answer is, the other guy was plus enough to get you there.
I mean, what kind of fool would ever wonder about something like that? What kind of asshole would ever be confused about something like that? Am I right? Sounds like a real jerk. So let's get a little warm in here.
But that's the thing, is that fighting game tutorials often just don't teach you about this sort of shit. The training mode doesn't teach you about this sort of shit. It doesn't have the frame data. The tutorial doesn't say, this is what a frame trap is. Which is what that is, where you go I'm +3, and the opponent is going to do a 3-frame move after this, and I'm going to do a faster, I'm going to do my move sooner, and I'm trying to bait them into pressing a button, right?
Mm-hmm.
you've set up a situation where if they press a button, they lose, and you bait them into it, and it's called a frame trap. And they don't teach you about those sort of things in the training mode. They don't teach you about that shit in the tutorial. They just say, here's what a super dash is. And then
if you mash square 8 times in a fight, you can summon Shenron.
Oh boy. I've seen that happen exactly 0 times.
Now, I understand why that's in there, and I'll talk about that way later on. Why I think they made those decisions.
Yeah, it's just fun stuff for people who are button mashing with their friends. But
yeah, pretty much.
I mean, kudos to the game for telling you that 2H beats Super Dash clean, but it didn't tell you that it beats pretty much anything.
Yeah, I did not know that it was invincible.
It has upper body invincibility.
Oh, I didn't know it was upper body only. There we go. Learn something new again.
It's upper body only. Yeah, it's upper body only invincibility.
And the reflect, I didn't know how the reflect worked.
Yeah, things like the reflect and 2H's invincibility, those things all just make sense intuitively to people who have played fighting games before. You're like, oh, I bet that has upper body only invincibility, so I can't mash that on wake up and get out of anything. That would be ridiculous. So it beats things that are in the air. That's it.
What do you think you are, Gohan?
Yeah. However, reflect as your other defensive option, which is pressing back and the special button, back S, 4S, where your character does that little swipe, right? That starts up on frame 1. It has no startup. It will reflect overheads and lows, and only loses to Dragon Rush, which is the throw variant.
Now that would be incredibly useful to know when I'm in the corner and Hit is just beating my ass. He is teleporting, doing all sorts of crazy shit. I don't know how to block everything that's coming at me. That would have been nice to know, to get out of here.
Yeah, and it pushes them back like 2/3 of the way across the screen, and you go, no, we're going back to neutral. It's
you get some breathing
useful tool that you need to use, but the game doesn't really teach you how to use it. It would have been a very good tutorial if the game had knocked you down and said, hey, use reflect the second you wake up. And then you would go, oh, I can reflect right when I wake up off of the ground. Amazing. But it doesn't teach you that. So the other thing that you're going to want to do for basic learning, right, is anytime you get hit by something, anytime somebody fucks you up with a character, you need to go into training mode and learn that whatever they did, right? If somebody does some crazy bullshit with Android 18 to you and you have no idea what happened, go into training mode and see if you can replicate it, and then figure out where the hole is.
And see, there will be a hole. The thing that happens with those, I had that happen with Hit, where Hit was just hitting me with all sorts of crazy shit. My problem was I couldn't replicate it because he was doing all sorts of crazy shit.
Yeah.
But I did learn a lot of other important things about Hit, such as he doesn't really do much in the air. That's good to know.
Doesn't have an air game.
I went to his character because I'm like, fucking asshole keeps teleporting and hit me with bullshit. I don't get it. And then, I didn't learn exactly what I came in there for. I learned a lot of very useful, applicable information.
Mm-hmm.
I'll still get my ass fucking whooped by him next time I see him, but I'll understand why.
Right. And so to get into defense a bit, because defense is going to be the most important thing for a new player in this game, I think, because if you don't understand how defense in this game works, you're going to get run over before you even get a chance to play.
And then you get into that, I don't understand my options to defend. I'm just getting my ass fucking bodied. Fuck this. Fuck it.
So
I'll go back to mashing triangle.
Yeah, there's a couple of really good design decisions that lead to there being pretty obvious strategies in defense to get out of pressure, which are your assist. If you call an assist in this game, the assist meter doesn't start filling back up until the opponent leaves block stun. There has to be breathing room before you start getting your assist back. Meaning, if you just, like, call an assist, buttons, air dash, call another assist, buttons, and then you just keep going, you're not getting your assists back.
See,
And
I've
then
noticed that sometimes.
game doesn't teach you about that.
Because I was like, shit, it's going too fast. I am perfect. Go over and bear hug him his cell. I ain't got time to look at my assists. I don't know what the fuck's happening. But I would notice this is taking a long while because Tim won't get the fuck out of the corner.
Yeah, like while you're doing pressure and you're pressing buttons and you see that they didn't hit, so you call an assist to let you keep pressing buttons on him, and then you don't get your assist back. And so what that means is that people are going to want to do things with holes. There's going to be points where you can press reflect to get out. Because you can't do anything while you're in block stun, other than guard cancel, which is you pressing forward and assist, which costs a bar and you swap in a team. You swap in a teammate.
He dragon rushes.
You can't dragon rush out of
when you reflect, when you were talking about when you're reflecting, then you block a move, hit forward, and L1.
Yeah, you tag in with a super dash.
Okay, super dash. That's what it is. I keep getting those mixed up.
It's not really a super dash because you don't get a combo after it. It's a weird, like, pseudo super dash.
But the important thing is, if the opponent realizes it, are they able to 2H and fucking destroy Goku? Okay.
Yes.
Oh boy. Ooh.
Yeah, you can't just use it brain dead to get out of pressure for free. Same thing with vanish. You can't vanish while you're in block stun. So what block stun is, and what a block string as you're going to see people refer to it as, is the sequence. It's the amount of time where you're just stuck blocking and you cannot do anything. And in 3v3 games and in most games, block stun lasts long enough for multiple attacks from the opponent to come out. So an example from Street Fighter that basically everybody would know is crouching medium kick into fireball from Ryu, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you block that crouching medium kick, you are forced to block the fireball. No matter what you do, even if you're mashing Dragon Punch, even if you're mashing Super, it will not come out. Your character does not have an opening to do anything.
The frames that your character's stunned, quote unquote, while blocking last long enough for them to hit you with another thing, extends that time which you're blocking until an opening appears, right?
Correct. And in this game and other tag games, block strings are very, very long. So, it's very difficult to see where the holes are. It's very difficult to see when you can press buttons. Which is why training mode is going to be your friend. You're going to need to go in and go like, okay, this guy did all of this nonsense to me. When can I reflect out of it? When can I get out of this? And you're going to need to go in and just try it out. Because, and here's the little like slightly advanced thing, if you just mash reflect, you're going to die. Because in order to reflect, you need to be standing.
Oh, because if you input it while crouch, it's not going to...
nothing happens.
Yeah, so you got to let go of crouch, which leaves you open to lower attacks.
Right.
To try. And the reflector blocks overhead, medium, and low attacks, right?
Correct. But if it doesn't come out, it doesn't reflect anything.
And it takes one frame to come out, right?
Yeah, you need a frame for it to come out. So, what reflect will lose to, just mashing reflect will lose to, is a true block string with a low in it.
I believe Ginyu has some long block strings, right?
Oh,
I think he's one of those
everybody
characters.
has some really long block strings. Like, they're as long as you want to make them with assists. If you want to see block strings, though, you look at Android 18. Android 18s last for years. You will be an old man by the time you leave block stun.
And so the only way to tell when these block strings are going to end is by taking the character... Now so let's say... what's a typical Android 18 block string? Just as an example, let's say it's because this isn't going to be the inputs, but it's going to be like
no, this will be
medium,
so
medium, low, medium, low, low, medium, high, or something.
No, it's much worse than that. So here, one second. You're going to get hit with a hard knockdown. So you know when you get hit in the air and you get spiked down and you start skidding across the ground.
Yeah,
that's a hard knockdown. You don't get to tech for a good long time. You're stuck skidding on the ground. So what Android 18 is going to do is she's going to dash forward, jump, 214 medium, which is going to call Android 17. Android 17 is going to come in and start hitting you. And then while she's falling down, she's going to do jump medium, jump light for a double overhead. And she's going to do, 5 jump M, jump L, 2L, 2M, 5M, 2H, call Android 17, 214 medium, air dash, keep going. And at some point in there, she calls an assist. And
now,
it just keeps going.
So, will these because what I'm thinking is I'm trying to think, so if I'm practicing these things, are these block strings consistent because they are able to keep you in that block state? What stops someone from going through the combo and then just going like, oh, gonna do a low?
They are not consistent. This is the other thing about mix-ups in this game is that people are going to vary what they're doing. At any point during that string, Android 18 could decide to just cancel one of those standing mediums into her 6M, which is the universal overhead. She could decide to stop doing it and do her command grab. She could decide to stop doing it and Dragon Rush you.
And so when it comes down to this, does it just come down to reading the opponent to try and have some sort of guess as to what they may do?
Yeah, it comes down to reads, to figuring out what your opponent wants to do, right? Because when you think about all of those options, they all lead to different amounts of damage in different situations, right? Clearly, the one that she wants the most is a clean hit. She just wants to hit you with a low, because if she gets that starter with a low, you're dead. You're taking so much damage. If she hits you with the command grab, well, she's got to spend a lot of bar to get she's got to spend a lot of meter to get a combo off of it, and it doesn't do as much damage. So she doesn't really want that, and it leaves her open, right? Like if you just, if you figure out that she's going to do that and you just press a button on her, she's getting hit. So that one's a bit more risky. And then Dragon Rush, well, you can just press any button to tech that.
Okay, so I'm starting to understand. So at a higher level, that's going to break down into, all right, I'm in a block string with Android 18. I'm looking at the screen. She only has 1 bar of super. So she's not going to do that one, or probably not. They might do it anyway just to fuck with you. She won't deal a lot of damage. So I look at it and I have to make those decisions of, well, she doesn't have the energy to do a fully expanded combo. So her options are X, Y, and Z. Z is now eliminated. I got X and Y to decide against. I'm going to hold off, and okay, she's probably going to do Y, reflect, something like, I will respond in kind.
You need to watch the opponent and see what they do. If they're always doing the same thing over and over again, then it's going to be predictable, and you're just going to go, okay, that's the same thing you did last time, reflect here, you're out. Right? If they always do double overhead into 2 lows, into, the 6M overhead, you just wait for the 6M overhead and reflect it. Right? There's no mix-up anymore. You're just like, whatever, they're just going to do it. But a good player is going to mix things up. They're going to be unpredictable. And that's where the real difficulty of defense is going to come in. Is that you're going to need to try and figure out what the opponent is doing on the fly while blocking. And that's very difficult. There's a reason why even good players get opened up. Like, even the best player in the world is going to get hit in these situations. Because it's fucking hard to figure out what the opponent is doing.
It's almost kind of random, because, they could just decide at some point to be like, whoop, back off, or Unga Bunga super. Maybe not Unga Bunga super, but... It's
not entirely random, because even if players don't know it, they have tendencies.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even if they don't know it, they've got things that they like to do, things that they tend to do, things that they default to.
Like for me, I always do the triangle version of Wolfang Fist because it teleports me behind him and it looks really cool. And also it's harder to dodge. So I always use that one. At a certain point, Tim's going to realize that and it's not going to work anymore. It's like, all right, he's coming in. You
need to start doing the other version of it.
Yep.
But if he's not blocking it, just keep doing it.
Or hit him with a triangle, then hit X, jump to the other side, keep hopping left, right, left, right, left, right.
Oh, fun fact for YamCHAD there. Just so you know, you're pretty horrifically minus if you do Wolfang Fist and then you do the you press S to jump behind them. You're pretty horrifically minus.
Oof. Don't let Tim know that.
Yeah. I tested that out. I'm like, oh, this is not a good idea. This is a scrub killer and nothing else. So you're going to want to go into training mode and really figure these things out and see where you can get out of things. But more so than any of this, learning a fighting game is all about mindset. It is all about your mentality. It is all about how you're approaching learning. You need to have the drive to go online and look at match videos of people who are better than you, to go online and watch all the tutorials that you can from, professional players, semi-professional players, like any of that nonsense that you can, to just get all the information that you can about how to play this damn game. You're going to need to embrace losing and use it as a learning experience and not get discouraged by it, right?
And this is something that I think Dragonball FighterZ is a really big step up with. So with Street Fighter V, I played a bit of that, but I ended up dropping it. It's less complicated than this game.
Oh no, it's pretty easy.
It was lacking something. There was something about it that made me go, I don't want to learn all this. Well, Dragon Ball FighterZ can cheat me past that because, fuck yeah, I'm playing, it's Dragon Ball Z.
I'm playing as Goku.
Yeah, it's Dragon Ball Z. I've got local friends who play the game. It's flashy and fun, and it's also Dragon Ball Z. Yeah. So I've got all these things that are saying like, yeah, I think I'm going to put the time in. I'm going to sit down into training mode to do these things because this game has all these reasons for me to want to sit down and sit in the fucking classroom, put on my dunce cap, and try to figure out why I keep doing cells down triangle in the air and it doesn't do anything because it doesn't fucking work in that combo. I have to figure out why I'm acting like an idiot.
Yeah, and there's a couple of things that I would just give out as DBFZ specific tips to get you started, which are Super Dash is your friend and also a really dumb move that has no business being in this game. It's so
it could
whack.
be your angle or it could be your demon.
It's such a dumb idea. I have no idea why they put it in the game, but here we are. It's silly. It's basically a quick time event in fighting game form. Like Super Dash, so you can just cancel into basically anything into it, and it's just a reaction tester. If your opponent is doing it from full screen to get in at you, for the love of God, hit 2H and kill them. Just tell them to stop doing that. But if they're up super close, then it's just like Super Dash, and then you need to just shout out 2H as soon as possible, or else press 2H to not die. Because it's gonna beat out pretty much any standing normal that you did that isn't 2H. It's so silly. It's just it's a move with one incredibly specific answer.
It keeps the game moving fast. You can't hide.
Yeah, but it's just kind of like you're playing a regular fighting game, and then somebody super dashes, and regular fighting game is over, and now it's press 2H to not die.
Makes it exciting.
Yeah, it's just it breaks up the flow really hard, but So Super Dash is your friend for blowing people up. If they aren't punishing you, just keep fucking doing it. If they aren't punishing you for it, abuse that shit. Right? There is no shame in doing something over and over and over again if your opponent doesn't block it.
If it works, just keep on doing it.
Yep. And also, just a basic thing about like fighting games in general. This is something that you're going to get hit by and you're not going to know what happened, is empty jumps. So, for example, with like say Android 18, if the opponent air dashes at you and then they call an assist and you're like, oh snap, an assist is coming, and the opponent and Android 18 is in the air, I need to stand block. And then all of a sudden you get hit low. And you're like, wait, what happened? And the answer is they air dashed at you, didn't press a button in the air to try and get you to stand, and then immediately went for a low normal when they landed.
So they jumped and then double tapped down to fall back as like right away and then hit you with a sweep.
You can't fast fall in this game, but yeah, they did instant air dash. And then the next thing is instant air dash, which you're going to need to learn if you want like basic mobility in the game, which is you tap up forward, then you tap forward, so 9 neutral 6.
Now, when I was trying to do that, I had to double tap 6.
Then you're just doing it too slow.
Okay, so I just gotta be real fast. I don't even know if I can do that on a D-pad.
You can. It's just going to take a lot of practice. Instant air dashing is hard, but it's going to be something that you're going to really need for mobility. And if you do it right, you'll air dash pretty much the second you jump, and it's super fast. It's just so much faster than jumping at somebody. And so you use that to do very, very quick overhead attacks. Or, do empty air dash lows, which is going to be very important. Because the thing is that the game is so visually busy, and there's so many particle effects and so much shit going on all the time that it's very easy to get lost. It's very easy to not actually know what the hell is happening. You're just like, wait,
especially when you get people using assists, so all this is happening. And also, Vegeta just came out, so he shot a million blasts. Those exploded covering the screen. Also, Fat Boo just came out.
Character. Like, you can't see the opponent's characters. You're like, oh shit, they're air dashing at me, better block high, and then you get hit by a low, and you're like, wait, what the fuck just happened? Do they have a jumping low? And you say, no, this isn't Injustice.
Wait, a jumping low? How the fuck does that work?
Darkseid in Injustice 2 has a jumping low.
What, does he jump and shoot your toes with his eye lasers?
Kind of. No, he does like a dive kick thing, and if he dive kicks on top of your head, it's an overhead at the start. But then when he lands, he steps on your Jordans, and it's a low. He does pranks in the hood gone wrong. I saw that. I was about to try out the game, and I saw that. I'm like, oh no, it's another one of these. NetherRealm does it again. This game is going to be full of this sort of dumb bullshit.
NetherRealm and Mortal Kombat are such a weird fighting game because it's when people think fighting games, the only fighting game that I can think of that's remotely like as popular as other general genres is like Mortal Kombat, but I can't remember. I don't think anyone on the planet actually plays Mortal Kombat and was like, there may have been 2 people on the planet at some point in time who are good at Mortal Kombat, but everyone else who likes Mortal Kombat was never good at it. They would go on the computer and get the fucking cheat codes to do the fucking fatalities, and that's it. Or you would play through story mode. So
that's one of the secrets here, is that probably the current best player in DBFZ, Sonic Fox, is also the best Mortal Kombat and Injustice player of all time.
Whoops.
It's the games are very much centered around grime, dishonest mix-ups, and completely disrespecting your opponent. You don't give a fuck who you're playing against when you're playing Mortal Kombat. You're putting them in the blender and you don't give a shit. You're just like, try and block this, bitch. Bet you can't. And in the same way, that's what you gotta do in Dragon Ball FighterZ. You just gotta go, bet you can't block this shit. Fuck you.
Just be an asshole.
I mean, that's kind of the mentality that you have to have. You have to go in with the mindset of, I'm going to do whatever it takes to win, and it's going to be bad for you while I'm doing it.
It's going to be bad for me.
Yeah, it's the less your opponent gets to play the game, the better.
Because then they can't do all this dirty stuff to you.
Exactly.
So I got two more questions here. One, what are some Twitch streams that you would recommend for people to watch to learn more, to help expedite their training process, to see these things in motion?
Okay, so the obvious alley-oop that you're setting me up for here is to link my own, but I'm actually not going to do that. Like, because I'm still just in training mode all the time, practicing shit, because I'm not used to this sort of game that much. Like, I'm still trying to get into the mentality of being able to switch between all of these mix-ups and this crazy relentless offense and shit. And I'm still not there because, you know, I'm a KOF player at heart. And it still feels weird to me. But, you know, I'm getting there. The people that I would recommend are Sonic Fox, which you can just find, I believe he's just like twitch.tv, Z Sonic Fox. Leffen, TSM Leffen is a very high ranked player. And then Maximilian Dude with O's instead of the zeros.
He's that guy that did all those videos pre-release showing off characters.
Max is good at explaining stuff on a beginner level. Like, he's very good at explaining things to beginners. However, I would advise against becoming part of the Maximilian Dude cult that just is under the impression that he's the best fighting game player of all time, and if Max does something, it's perfect and optimal. The only person I would attribute that to is Sonic Fox. If that dude does something, I'm going to assume it was for a good reason. Like, to put it this way, when he started playing, he had like one loss on his thing, and the entire chat was freaking out like, wait, who the hell beat him?
Well,
because they were not
Sonic
expecting
Fox?
anyone to be able to beat him.
Is that the greatest mystery?
I think it was on stream, but I don't know.
Gotta check the tapes. It was me. I've been sandbagging this entire time, Dan. I'm actually the best Dragon Ball FighterZ player on the planet.
Oh, fuck. But watching streams like that, or watching content and things like that, is how you're going to get ideas to learn things. You want to look at these players' decision-making process more than the combos that they do. More so than the combo, how they got the hit is the important part. And when they get hit, why did they get hit? That's really the important thing, is figuring out how to get the hit and when you got hit.
Yeah, Next Gen Gamer 1994's combo isn't going to do much good if you don't know how to actually get in. Right.
That's part of the reason why before the game, when people are like, oh, it's so great that auto combos are a thing because it means that new players will get to, you know, do flashy combos. And I'm like, no, the new players aren't going to get the hit to be able to do the combo. Like, it's like they are not going to be able to hit these guys once. And that's exactly what happens if you watch some of these streams when they go on, like, early ranked. The new players very clearly, like, moving around and trying to do an auto combo, and they just never get a chance to do it.
Just landing a single punch.
Landing a single hit is impossible against somebody who is that much better than you.
Other question I got, the last one here. Do you think... So I know a lot of people are disappointed with the new Marvel vs. Capcom for a few reasons.
MVCI? Yeah.
Do you think there's the potential for Dragon Ball FighterZ to take over as the new Marvel? Do you think there's enough of is there a high enough skill cap? Do you think it would be able to hold people's attention long enough to get a solid spot? Or do you think it might just be, yeah, it was a fun game, but there's not enough here, or it's not as fun for people to keep playing this for years and years and years?
I think that there's a lot there, and I think it's probably going to take the spot as like the new quote unquote, the new Marvel. Probably. However, I would say that there are a couple of things that have me concerned. Namely, super dashing kind of limits the interesting things that can happen in the game. Because there's so many characters and things that if super dash didn't exist, they would be so cool. Like, Beerus is a ton of fun, but you realize you're like, oh, I'm going to set up all these traps, and I'm going to make like this really intricate maze that my opponent can't get through. And then you realize, oh wait, they can just super dash through all my projectiles. Oh.
Yeah, I kind of put the damper on things.
Yeah, it's... I would have preferred that there had been a different defensive mechanic, and then they let the more crazy shit happen. So, that might be the thing where it might get a little bit old, where you're just like, okay, and then we're just going to super dash at each other for a while. Like, at top level play, super dash becomes a lot more risky and whatever, but it's just good enough for it to creep up in there.
To be worth it and show up more often than it should.
Then it feels reasonable that it should, because it's
now, here's
such
another
a weird
question.
mechanic.
One more question. So super dashing is kind of like a built-in, pretty deep mechanic. Has there ever been a situation where a fighting game has removed or changed a mechanic that deep into the game?
In between versions, yeah, but I don't think that they would remove super dash. At most, they might make it slower.
Yeah, it might make it slower,
which would effectively
to.
remove it. I don't think it needs to be removed or anything. I don't think it's like broken. I just think it leads to some pretty stale gameplay patterns at times.
It doesn't promote a healthy environment for other things to come up.
It feels weird. It kind of puts a damper on what you can do, because you have to check and see, like, okay, I could do this whole big setup thing, but it just loses the super dash. Fuck it.
But yeah, this was...
it forces you to set up your offense and things to be safe against super dash, which makes everything a lot more tight and pretty brutal. Like, you can't really play the cool zoning game as a result.
Like, if you look at a match of Street Fighter V, or not Street Fighter V, was it 4? There was one of the Street Fighters where zoning was pretty common, where people would stay at neutral on both sides, feeling each other out for a long while. And that doesn't seem to be as common in this game, because everyone's going ape shit. That
doesn't happen in pretty much any versus game. I mean, an exception was in Marvel vs. Capcom. Like, in Marvel vs. Capcom 2 and 3, you could play the zoning game, and in Marvel vs. Capcom 3, you had the infamous Mora Doom. Team Chris G, where you had Morrigan and Doom, and you just kept people out for the entire match. And, I mean, Super Dash does only go through, like, basic key blasts and some, basic projectiles. It doesn't go through, like, Kamehamehas and shit. But still, you've got just a quick button to go in really damn fast, and the opponent only has one answer, really.
So yeah, it'll be interesting. EVO's coming up in June. I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens with EVO this year for it. I would love to see a varied, because it always feels kind of lame when you're watching the top 8 and it's like 6 of the same character. That one dude who's playing like fucking Fong or some weird ass character. Yeah. And then one other character that's like the same tier, the same top tier. So I hope that doesn't happen. I hope the teams don't just become Android 18, Beerus, and guest starring whoever,
I don't think that team isn't actually very popular, but what I think you're going to see a lot of, and you're going to need to get used to seeing a lot of, is Goku and Vegeta.
And I am perfectly acceptable with that. Goku and Vegeta are cool.
Goku Black. Goku and Vegeta are like the Doom and Virgil of this game. For non-Marvel players, they're just characters that kind of do everything.
At least until they add Jiren and El Hermano.
El Hermano. I mean, I'm just waiting for Ultra Instinct Shaggy Rojo.
My team is Gohan Blanco, El Hermano, and Jiren. That's my team.
Yeah, but like, I'm really excited for what the game is going to bring to the fighting game community as a whole. Because, like, for example, I'm looking at my my Facebook right now, and at my local scene back in America for their Week 1 Dragon Ball FighterZ tournament, they had 54 entrants.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, for a local small group. That's pretty
for
good.
just
That's
a local
decent.
for a local tiny group, just for a weekly small little tournament. You know, and when Street Fighter 5 came out, we had, maybe like 25, 30 for the first week, and then it started to peter off. But I just hope that people actually stick around.
Because, like you said, it's a rough game, but
If you can learn this game, if you can get over that fucking learning curve sheer cliff that is going from being a beginner at this game to being advanced at this game, you can learn any other game. If you can learn this game, you can learn any other game. You might have to get a bit better at like combo execution, but if you can deal with the bullshit that's in this game, you can deal with any form of bullshit.
yeah, so it's going to be great. The future's looking so bright. It's like I'm getting hit by a solar flare.
Okay, can we talk about, in the story mode, Cell like 3 times just solar flares people and runs away.
I mean, he's the
He
perfect
just pocket
being.
sands and runs away. He's like,
The
I
perfect
am
being.
the ultimate life form. Perfect solar flare, and he just runs.
Okay, very last question before we end this episode. What is the best attack in Dragon Ball Z?
The best attack in Dragon Ball Z? Father Son Kamehameha.
Acceptable answer. The correct answer, objectively correct answer, though, is the Spirit Bomb.
No, the correct answer is Raykum Kick.
All right, that'll finish up the episode then. So let's go ahead and do our plugs. Our Raykum plug, our Birder plugs, and Jace advertisements.
Why did they put the Ginyu Force in the game?
I am so happy the Ginyu Force is in. And what else I'm happy about? The podcast being on YouTube, iTunes, Google Play. On Twitter, at LMTYA website, which is letmetellyyouabout.moa, or if you're one of those other people, www.lmtya.com. And then, Dan, where can they find you? I don't know if you're on the internet in a few different places or not.
Oh man, it's almost like I'm on the internet in a few different places. You can find me on the Let Me Tell You About Discord. Talk to me about fighting games, or talk to me about the Dungeons and Dragons podcast that we run. It's a lot of fun. Revival. It's a ton of fun. You can also find me and my brother Michael on Twitch streaming video games, including Dragon Ball FighterZ, but probably by the time you hear this, I'll be actually playing real matches, but right now I'm just training moding everything out. You can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/bro_operatives with me and my brother Michael doing co-op games. Probably going to play some Monster Hunter soonish.
Oh, that's right. Does it have local co-op?
No.
Okay.
Gonna have to get 2 copies of the game.
And a second PS4. Jesus.
I do have my own PS4. I brought it from America, specifically for fighting games.
I had 5 PlayStation 3s in my house at one time.
Jesus. Yeah, what games did you even put on them?
Every single one of those PlayStations. I had a copy of Castlevania Symphony of the Night installed.
I'm going to hold back. I'm going to hold back on asking why, because I don't actually want to know why you had 5 PS3s.
Last stuff. There's a Patreon where you can donate to the show. Sometime this week, Alex and I should do the questions of the month. Those are always fun. Joe the real Joe is doing the Benevolent Buckley. There's still a few more episodes of that left. There's another cool thing coming up in February. Keep an eye on the Twitter and the Discord. I'm going to start posting stuff about that. I'm really excited for that. I can't talk about it just yet, but I think it's pretty fucking slick. And is there anything, any other last thing you want to say, Dan, before we close out the episode?
Solar Flare.
Ow, fuck.